Tonight, an ABC Action News investigation uncovers high-quality teachers unable to teach right here in Florida. Our Katie LeGrone has spent months digging into Florida's critical teacher shortage, only to discover why a series of recent changes by the state to recruit the very best teachers is actually backfiring.
In 2015, the state revised its teacher licensing exam, but we discovered in the state's quest for the highest quality teachers, some students are learning from the lowest quality teachers.
If you're wondering,
I teach AP Psychology.
About the creds.
Some of the highest scores in my school for that.
Of a great teacher.
And earned that 4.0.
Meet.
I have these amazing relationships with colleagues and students.
Julie McHugh.
I've been doing this for 21 years.
So we didn't expect to hear the South Florida classroom veteran say,
I'm contemplating absolutely 100% leaving the classroom.
And we certainly didn't expect to hear why.
I can't pass a test.
This test is designed to make you want to quit.
Teaching student Amal Muhammad fears she won't see day one in a classroom.
It crushes you.
They are among a growing number of teacher hopefuls who last year failed.
I am so upset.
Florida's teacher licensing exam. The state made tougher a few years ago.
How am I not qualified to be in the classroom? I don't understand.
It's a must pass.
It's so disheartening.
To teach, or like Julie, earn more teaching in Florida.
Sat for it a fourth time, and I got the same results. Missed it by 1 point. Something is very wrong.
Turns out failure rates from Florida's teacher certification and leadership exams are at an all-time high, up more than 30% on parts of the exam.
We're concerned. I'm concerned.
Dr. David Alsop is Associate Dean at the University of South Florida's College of Education.
Do you think that this test is a good measurement of high-quality teachers in Florida? So what is it measuring?
Well, that's a good question.
But bad for him. Last year, nearly 10% of students here graduated with a diploma, but not a passing score on the state's test.
So they spent 4+ years of their lives preparing to be a teacher, and now they can't teach.
Add that to Florida's ongoing teacher shortage.
Are you saying that the state's answer to recruiting higher quality teachers might actually be backfiring on them?
Yes, to some degree at this point.
That's because the use of long-term subs, or those spending more than a week in a classroom, is up in some districts. In fact, we found one district this year using long-term subs in more than 50 of its classrooms. 5 of those classes for the entire school year.
So you're ending up with people who are less well qualified.
Bob Schaefer works with fairtest.org, a national nonprofit publicly critical of standardized tests for students and teachers.
There is no evidence whatsoever that doing well on these initial teacher entry exams means that you'll be a better classroom educator.
No one from the State Department of Education would speak to us on camera. In an email, a spokesperson described the plunge in passing rates as anticipated and increases over time. Multiple tests later, Amal Muhammad finally passed the state's exam.
I will not sit and take this test again.
After 18 months of studying,
I'm over $1,000 in fees.
Julie McHugh has had enough.
I feel like they're trying to make money off of us.
She's looking at walking away.
For 18 months, I've been distracted by an institution telling me that I'm not good. And I don't deserve my teaching credentials that I've earned.
It's a complicated situation with really no easy fix. No one's asking for easier tests, but critics are asking the state for more help. From better prep material to reducing costs just to take these tests. But the biggest issue, the debate over whether standardized teacher tests are really the best way to measure teacher success. I'm my team investigator Katie LeGrone taking action for you.
Tonight, overwhelming reaction to an I-Team investigation that exposed teachers failing the state's teacher test at unprecedented rates. And now some are taking the state to court because of that problem.
This as more teachers come forward to share their own tales of frustration and failure. Here's I-Team investigator Katie LeGrone.
This teacher now in a legal battle with the state over a teacher test she says isn't fair. She's not the only one.
At a recent teacher conference in Tampa.
Challenging.
We have a real crisis.
So everybody's talking about it.
Right.
Everybody was talking about this.
I'm appalled by this. I'm appalled by this test.
Known as the Florida Teacher Certification Exam, it's a must-pass if you want to teach in Florida. But after our investigation discovered how recent changes to these tests resulted in unprecedented failures, the newest stats show there hasn't been much improvement. In fact, there's a bigger problem. The number of people taking this test is down by 10% on some tests.
This is turning people, good, talented people away.
Leaving more school districts like Manatee County, where 30 classes are now being taught by long-term substitutes, many because the teacher couldn't pass the state's test.
Not necessarily because they're not a good teacher. Right.
How frustrating is that? Just ask a room full of Florida teachers.
You just feel so defeated.
It's ruining my life.
Living it.
It makes you feel like, who are you to want to teach these kids? How are you going to help them if you can't pass the test yourself?
There's something wrong with that exam. There's a flaw with that exam.
It's affected my life tremendously.
Clarissa Curry earned her bachelor's in education, but after 7 failed attempts, she's teaching with a temporary certificate that's about to expire.
I don't know. What am I looking like? What it's looking like next year?
Melissa Smith also earned her bachelor's and also took the test 7 times and failed.
That's ridiculous.
So she's leaving to get her master's.
This god-awful experience of failing these exams, I kind of gotten to that point I may not even come back to Florida.
It's a problem really costing these teachers.
$2,500.
$4,000.
Over $2,000.
I would say over $5,000.
Over $5,000?
That's right, the test administered by Pearson VUE costs more to retake.
They're just trying to make money off of teachers.
It's unprecedented.
We caught up with Pearson at that education conference in Tampa.
Do you want me to pass along their information?
But they sent us back to the state, who these teachers have a final message for.
You need to reconsider the way in which you are testing first-year teachers.
The state of Florida are losing a lot of passionate and qualified teachers.
It's a racket.
It makes us feel like we don't matter. See us in action.
Teachers who are putting in sweat and tears.
This test defeats us. Us teachers
will slip through your hands.
I matter.
I matter.
We matter.
But most importantly, these kids matter.
College is also dealing with fallout from this test. Fewer education majors, loss of funding in some cases, all during a statewide teacher shortage. The state maintains more rigorous teacher tests are in line with student tests. I'm I-Team investigator Katie LeGrone taking action for you.
Months after our I-Team uncovered historic failure rates on a Florida teacher test, the State Department of Education is finally talking about it, but only after investigator Katie LeGrone went to them.
In terms of this teacher test, it's gone up 800%.
I appreciate it.
Florida's education commissioner cut us off, but not before we managed to get some answers on a test thousands of teachers and teacher hopefuls have been failing at unprecedented rates.
What's your response to that?
I think we could provide you with a great deal of information about those assessments. The board votes on those assessments, and they are aligned to the standards that are being taught in the classroom, which is appropriate.
For months, we've tracked failures on Florida's teacher certification exam, a must-pass to teach here. But after the state revised the test in 2015, failure rates have shot up 30% on some portions of the exam. And some test takers are not only failing once,
you just feel so defeated,
but 3, 4, 10, even 12 times.
It makes you feel stupid.
It's enough to make some question if the exam administered by controversial test giant Pearson is flawed.
I don't think that that's what it's a reflection of. I think it's a reflection of we've raised standards for students, and consequently we need to raise standards for teachers and make sure that they are experts in the content area that they are teaching.
The exam costs up to $200 per section to take, more for retakes. That's nearly an 800% increase in less than a decade. The state says the test, once funded by the legislature, is now 100% paid for by examinees.
What's going on? Is it me?
Many of whom are still failing.
I can't pass it.
Still frustrated.
This god-awful experience of failing these exams, I kind of gotten to that point I may not even come back to Florida.
And as we too experienced, still asking why.
I mean, don't you feel like they deserve more of an answer? How do you justify letting highly effective teachers go?
That's enough. We have answered your questions.
Pearson has refused to answer our questions. 2 examinees are now taking the state to court, challenging how these tests are scored. I'm I-Team investigator Katie LeGrone taking action for you.
Hundreds of teachers from across the state will not be back in the classroom come August because they cannot pass a state test. It's the latest development from a 5-month investigation resulting in 2 court cases and hundreds of messages to our inbox. I-Team investigator Katie LeGrone has details from a Florida classroom.
This summer, school districts across the state are working to fill classrooms like this one with teachers. But we've learned the state's teacher test isn't helping to recruit new teachers. In fact, it's leaving many districts with more slots to fill.
"45 questions is not a measure of me being a competent educator."
It angers me that a test decides my worth. A lot of people has told me, well, you know, window's closed and another one will open. In this situation, I'm not willing to let that window close.
They are Florida teachers who just lost the title.
How does it feel that you were sort of pushed out of this industry because of a test?
It's terrible.
Debbie Booker, a former social worker turned teacher, was just fired after 3 years teaching K-6 special ed at a Title I school.
I was allowed to show the best part of me.
I've spent my life working with students and trying to make a difference.
So was Kathleen Moss, who has a master's degree and 30-plus years working with kids.
I always knew that teaching was something that I was called to do, that I'm supposed to do. This is my thing.
Known as the FTCE, it's a battery of must-pass teacher tests to get a license to teach here. But after a series of revisions made the test harder in 2015, failures are up. Math went from an 80% passing rate in 2014 to a 57% passing rate last year. Numbers that didn't add up for Debbie, Kathleen, and Claudia Borges in Hillsborough County.
And now I don't have a job.
One of nearly 24 teachers the school district was just forced to fire because of the FTCE.
It's always something that's difficult to deal with, that we have to terminate a teacher over testing rules, but we do have to follow state law.
Around the state, teacher-seeking districts are feeling the hit. St. Lucie County just terminated 10 teachers over the test. Palm Beach, 80. And Polk County recently issued pink slips to 79 teachers.
We never want to see a teacher go, especially if they're effective or a highly effective teacher.
They're leaving us without a job.
A test designed to attract the highest quality. Now forcing many
I'll be looking for another job.
to start all over.
I don't think I failed, but in their eyes I did. And there's something wrong with that picture. There really, truly is.
Teachers still have the rest of the summer to take and pass this test. I'm I-Team investigator Katie LeGrone, taking action for you.
Meanwhile, the state stands by these revised teacher tests and the rise in failure rates. And as Katie has reported in the past, the state anticipated failures to increase and is consistently monitoring the scores. New details on how the state came up with these revisions, new passing scores, and score breakdowns can be found right now on our website at abcactionnews.com.